Welcome to Neo Royal House of Pricey Cardboard, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, or whatever your heart desire. I hope you can find some joy in these dire times and that Father Christmas will be kind to all of you, if you've been kind to others, of course. On today's episode of Commander Gameplay, I have finally recorded some Yuriko footage to, hopefully, your pleasure. I will be joined by Proxylab, a very vengeful Canadian, but deep down, he's a good guy. He posts his proxy on Twitter, as well as some pretty great cat and possum gifs. Unsummoned Skull is a streamer on Twitch. He plays Commander with folks from Twitter during the week at around 9 PM Eastern Standard Time. And finally, speaking of folks from Twitter, I met Rare by looking for a fourth player for a pod. He is a really fun guy to play with, who also have a YouTube and Twitch channel, but it is not mainly focused on magic. Links to all these fine characters in the description. My Yuriko deck is a pretty optimized version without being a CDH level. I don't run a lot of ramps and only some of the top deck tutors. I run 4 extra turns, but I have no way to get into an infinite turn loop. The most powerful card in the list is probably Insidious Dreams that let me place the top of my library for as many cards as I am willing to discard. Skull will be playing Ruric Thar the Unbowed. This is a pretty unconventional Ruric Thar deck, but you already knew that when you saw Skull's logo. His list is not afraid to run non-creature spell, having only 20 creatures in the deck. His plan is to gain life through lifelink to break parity with his own general. Proxy will be playing Shirei, Shizo's caretaker. Mono black looking to reanimate creature with power 1 or less. The thing with Shirei is that it can trigger its ability at each player's end step, so free sacrifice outlet will be very important combined with pings or attrition type ETB to grind the table of all their life points. Finally, Rare will be playing Breya, Ethereum Shaper. This is a very fair Breya deck and does not contain any known infinite combo. It's a sweet collection of all the available artifact commander in a full colors list. His opening hand contains Anna's Ship's Navigator, Mentor of the Meek, Skullclamp, Fellwashstone, Godless Shrine, Darksteel Citadel, and a basic island. This looks like a pretty strong hand. Rare has ramp to get Breya as soon as turn 3, or he could set up to draw with Mentor of the Meek in a future turn. Skullclamp is always strong if it's in the list. Proxy's opening hand contains Felspectre, Arcane Signet, Sol Ring, Castle Lockdwayne, and 2 basic swamps. Proxy had to go down to 6 and kept a hand with some quick ramp and a very good creature. If he runs out of card to play, Castle Lockdwayne will be a good way out. Skull's opening hand contains Loxodon Warhammer, Magus of the Wheel, Mindstone, Peregrination, Desert of the Indomitable, a basic forest, and a basic mountain. 3 lands, 2 ramps, and a lifelink source, plus a wheel. This feels like a pretty good hand. Loxodon Warhammer is the kind of card I always cut from my decks, but when I play against it, it's always so good. My opening hand contains Whirler Rogue, Draco, Diabolic Vision, Tout Vessel, Dimir Signet, Myriad Landscape, and a basic swamp. This is an okay hand, but kind of slow. I do not have any turn 1 blue source if I top deck an unblockable 1/1, and so I will probably take the first few turns ramping with the Signet and then the Landscape. Maybe I'll go under the radar. At least Whirler Rogue is a very good card, giving me 2 tokens with evasion. I get to start this off, and land drop a Myriad Landscape. Proxy land drops a swamp, Skull land drops a Desert of the Indomitable. Rare then land drops a Godless Shrine and end turn 1. I land drop a Swamp before casting a Dimir Signet. Proxy land drops a Swamp and casts Arcane Signet. Skull land drops a Mountain and casts Mind Stone. Rare land drops an Island and casts Fellwashstone. We somehow played 4 different mana rocks at 2 CMC. He then breaks the cycle by casting Skullclamp. I land drop an Exotic Orchard and cast Whirler Rogue. Entering the battlefield, I get 2 Tutter's token. Proxy land drops a Swamp and casts Sol Ring. He then casts his commander, Shirei, Shizo's caretaker. Skull land drops a Forest and casts Peregrination, fetching for 2 basics before scrying 1.
Alright, let's see what we got going on here.
So I'm going to play some stuff where you're going to have to look it up.
Rare land drops a Seat of the Synod. He then casts Mentor of the Meek, before equipping the clamp on the Mentor. You know, just in case. I untap and go straight to combat. I send the Whirler Rogue to Skull and a Topter to both Proxy and Rare. After blocks, I ninjutsu my commander in place of the Rogue, Yuriko, the Tiger's Shadow. They're already here. Upon dealing ninja damage, I reveal my top card, which is Insidious Dreams. My opponents lose 4. In second main, I cast Tetsuko Omizawa's Fugitive, passing. Proxy land drops Castle Locktwine. He then casts Fell Spectre. Entering the battlefield, I discard a card and lose 2. I discard Insidious Dream as I am a good person. Proxy then casts Burglar Rat.
So I'm gonna have this Burglar Rat come in too, and each opponent's gonna discard a card.
Oh, you dirty red. How dare you?
Entering the battlefield, each opponent discards a card, losing 2 to the Spectre. Skull untaps and then drops Forest. He casts each Numen Druid. Yes, I had to search that too. He then casts a more conventional Loxodon Warhammer. Rare land drops Darksteel Citadel. He then casts Tezzeret the Seeker. He uses the 0 on Tezzeret to get his Great Furnace from his deck, as he is lacking some red mana. I go to my turn and cast Stout Vessel. I then cast Arcane Adaptation, naming Ninja, making my board a lot more dangerous. I go to combat, sending Tetsuko to Proxy, Yuriko to Skull, and 2 Thopters to Rare. I get 4 Yuriko triggers as all my creatures are now ninjas. I reveal Lightning Greaves, Curtain Skull, Siren, Storm Tamer, and a Diabolic Vision for a grand total of 11 CMC and life lost.
For 4 cards, not that bad. I will then pass the turn. I think I have to discard. Oh no, I have a Thought Vessel. Never mind.
Dang it! I was looking forward to that extra 2 damn.
Yeah, but the day you will wheel, I will die.
In his turn, Proxy casts Attrition. He sacrifices the rat to the Attrition to destroy my Tetsuko. After that, at his end step, the rat comes back with Shirei's effect. Entering the battlefield, each opponent discards a card, losing 2. Skull casts Magus of the Wheel. He then equips the Loxodon Warhammer to the Druid, passing. Rare land drops the Plains. He then floats all of his mana before using the +1 on Tezzeret to untap his 2 artifact lands. After that, he casts his commander, Breya Ethereum Shaper. Entering the battlefield, he gets 2 Thopters. Mentor of the Meek trigger twice, and Rare uses his floating mana to draw 2. He then uses Skullclamp to trade a Thopter for 2 additional cards. I start by casting Curtain Skull, targeting Fell Spectre and Shirei. Proxy reacts with Malakir Rebirth, targeting his commander, returning it immediately from the graveyard to the battlefield. I then head into combat, sending my remaining 2 Thopters to Proxy. He can't block, but he can kill one of them with Attrition by sacrificing his rat. He takes 1 and I get a single Yuriko trigger. Reacting to my trigger, I cast Brainstorm, taking 4 from the Druid which has lifelink. I draw 3 and put 2 back on top. I then resolve my trigger and reveal Draco to all my opponents, which has a massive 16 converted mana cost. In second main, I land drop a Blink Moth Nexus. And at the end step, the Fell Spectre and the Rat comes back from the grave. Entering the battlefield, each opponent must discard a card and I discard a second one. Rare reacts by sacrificing Fellwar Storm and Skullclamp to gain 5 life. We then resolve Proxy's ETB. Proxy casts Swiftfoot Boots and equips them to Shirei. He then casts Phyrexian Altar, which I put a stop real quick with Fierce Guardianship. Proxy then sacrifices Fell Spectre to kill my remaining Ninja Thopter with his Attrition.
Sack this, pay 1 and sack this, and I'm gonna kill that Thopter.
It dies.
Oh no.
No, not yours.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
yours.
I think it's mine.
Neo knows what I'm doing. Neo knows what I'm doing. No, you get to keep yours. Sorry.
It's like, I need that one really bad.
Yeah, I know you need it.
At the end step, the Spectre comes back and targets me on ETB.
Neo, discard 1 if you got 1 left.
Yes, I have 4 left.
Why is our relationship like that?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just always violence. I will.
But you hit me first.
I hit everyone. You always take it so personal.
Skull untaps and starts with combat. He sends the Druid to me. In second main, he cracks his Mind Stone to draw a card and pass. Rail and drops an island, and in an unfortunate turn of events, -5 is Tezzeret to turn all 5 of his artifacts into 5/5s.
I can see it on the video now. And, the table conspires against me. Yuriko.
His combat step is pretty simple, as he full swings at me for 20 even after block. In second main, Rare casts Chromatic Lantern and pass. Proxy casts Vampiric Rites. He then sacrifices the rat to the rites, drawing and gaining a life. He just has so many ways to kill his stuff. After that, he casts Erebos, God of the Dead. Rare decides to not react with Breya. At the end step, the rat comes back and Proxy's opponent discards. On his turn, Skull casts Chaos Ward, targeting Erebos. Proxy shuffles and reveals Altar of Dementia before putting it on the table. Before we leave the second main phase, Proxy uses his new altar to sack the Spectre and the rat, milling Skull. We then go to the end step for the rat and the Spectre to come back. Even though Skull has only one card in hand, Proxy decides to give Rare a turn of grace for his action against the Ninja Nation. During his turn, Rare sacrifices his commander and the Topter to gain 5 life. He then recasts Breya before passing the turn. Before leaving the second main, Proxy sacrifices 2 creatures again to mill Skull some more, and at the end step the rat and Spectre comes back with Shirei. Reacting to the ETB, Rare casts Path to Exile on Fel Spectre. Proxy sacrificed the creature to the altar to prevent the exile, milling Rare. We didn't read the errata on Shirei at this moment, and we thought that the creature would not come back as the end step was passed on this turn, slight mistake on our part. We go to Proxy's turn. He sacrificed the rat to draw with the Vampiric Rites. He then casts Sadistic Hypnotist, but sacrificed it instantly to Attrition to destroy Skull's Druid. After that, at the end step the rat comes back. And reacting to the ETB, Skull decides to activate the Magus of the Wheel. I'm not too sure why it's in reaction to the rat trigger instead of before leaving the end step. Maybe Skull will tell us in the comments. Anyway, each player draws a fresh new 7 and then Proxy's opponent discards a card. Skull untaps and casts Yidaro Wandering Monster, a beautiful 8/8 with haste and trample. Heading into combat, Yidaro attacks Proxy and he blocks with the rat. Now they should have taken out Proxy, but I think he gained a life somewhere in the game instead of losing one, so it gave him 2 additional points of life. This will however not impact the very soon ending of the game. Skull passes, and to his own surprise, Rare untaps.
Yeah, I let you live that one time, right?
No, you did. You did. You certainly did.
He then just need to go to combat, send a Topter to Proxy, and the rest to Skull to take this game. He even had up to 6 target damage with his commander if he needed by sacrificing Topters or lands. Well played. Looking back at this game, I did not notice red could ultimate after only 1+. I'm so used to people using it to minus to fetch some powerful piece of ramp or combo that I did not bother to read the card. My bad. I was still very close to get this game. If Proxy didn't kill my second Topter, I would have closed the game with my Brainstorm. Proxy had a pretty good game as well, making us discard a lot of cards and making sure that he could always sacrifice his stuff every turn. If he had a creature that drew on ETB, he could have built an even bigger board and get some very deadly end step. Skull had a pretty soft game. He did play a couple of cards I did not know about, which is always nice. If Ruric Thar joined the fight, the combat step would probably have been different. And finally, our winner for today, Rare, who with just enough life gain managed to be the last player standing. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and once again, a very happy holiday season to all of you and your loved ones. Thank you for being part of this adventure. We appreciate each one of you. See you soon and take care, my friend.